one of the al-chaitz that we mention on Yom Kippur. It's an al-chait which I think resonates with all of us, and with pun intended, gives all of us food for thought. And that is found in source number 1, and the English in source number 2. Ve'al-chait shechatanu lefanecha b'ma'achal u'b'mishteh. We're asking Hashem to forgive us for the sin that we have done, and the theme is always lefanecha, that we weren't aware that we were standing in front of you. Had we had this awareness, we obviously would be acting differently, and that's part of our recognition of tshuva. For the ma'achal and mishteh, for items concerning food and drink. On this, Rav Meislish, in his commentary to V'doing, notes the following. What does this include? Shelo haya nizhar kara'ui, we weren't careful enough in areas including the tilat yadayim, washing of our hands, brachot, saying the appropriate blessings, b'machalot asurot, eating foods with the improper hechsher or not kosher, b'shmirat habriyot, not taking care of ourselves physically, eating a well-balanced diet, b'derech eretz beit achila v'shtiya, the way we ate, b'taniot, how we behaved on fast days. It includes not being careful enough, checking food for bugs and insects, forgetting to bench perhaps, hazorek bracha mipiv below kavana, throwing out a bracha without thinking about it, eating or drinking without even saying a bracha. These are all included in machal and mishteh. As the Manchester Rav points out, based on the Chayei Adam, that another place where we think about the idea of food and being negligent in our food is the first one of the Aleph Bets in Ashamnu in source number 3. Ashamnu includes where I have been guilty of achalti machalos asuros, where I have eaten forbidden foods. And as the Manchester Rav points out, Rav Segal, sometimes while in our own homes we may be very careful, sometimes because of social etiquette we go over on our normally strict standards and compromise. And sometimes on vacation we don't look into the hechsher well enough and we compromise there. So when we're talking about machalos asuros, it doesn't have to be necessarily treif, but our standards of kashrut, there are times during the year that we have perhaps compromised. I like to focus in particularly within this realm of machalos asuros, within this realm of machal mishteh, which is a very large category. I like to focus on specifically the concept of brachos and the etiquette, halachos of eating, as well as ideas connected to netilat yadayim, to the washing of our hands. And although we've spoken about these ideas in the past, I'd like to present these ideas today coming really from a totally different perspective, and I think perhaps even more important than the bottom line, which obviously we'll get to in terms of technically our eating habits and our netilat yadayim habits, which are important, is a certain mindset that we need to have, which isn't only relevant to the area of machal and mishteh, it's really relevant to ourselves as Torah Jews. And it's very, very crucial at this time of year in particular to be able to grapple with this type of mindset, with this philosophical construct, because it has a tremendous impact on which direction we are going when we ask ourselves, where are we in terms of being real Avdei Hashem? Are we ready to sign on the bottom line that our lives are given over to Hashem? I'd like to share, as the basis of our discussion today, a very fascinating parts of a very fascinating essays of Rav Schwartz in Dad Atzmecha. He's the mechaber of that very famous sefer, Bilvavi Mishkan Evne, let me build for within me a sanctuary, which is talking about God conscious, God awareness. In this sefer, which I highly recommend, parts of it have been translated on his website in English, of the sefer Dad Atzmecha. He deals with the way we should view life. This selection comes from Chelik Beis, the second section of the sefer, And obviously we're not going to do it justice by just taking out certain parts, but nevertheless the construct I think is crucial for life. He notes in source number 4, let's learn together. Mitziyut ha'adam murkevet michome v'ruach guf v'neshama. All of us know that we are created with a combination of the physical and the spiritual. Our guf, our body, and our neshama, our soul. Be'ofen TV, in a natural way, ha'olam oto anu makirim. The world that we live in, mizaheh im haguf. We're very familiar with the body. Mizaheh im hachomer. We're very familiar with the physical world. Hatafkit shalanu, our job, od lifnei avodah masid, even before we get some practical applications, hi lezahot et atzmeinu ba'ofen shoneh, is to be able to identify ourselves in a slightly different way.